Welcome to the Morningstar Podcast, a space for real conversations and shared experiences. Together, we'll explore the ideas and stories that inspire, guide, and connect us all. Let's get started. The Morningstar Podcast discusses topics related to recovery, addiction, and mental health, which may be sensitive for some listeners. We are not medical professionals, and this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice or treatment. Listener discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everyone, and my name is Dominic Wells, Chicken Clan, Child of Knife. I'm sitting here with Elk Woman, Kathy Whitman, and we'll be talking about a few things here today and have a little conversation, and just pass it on over to let her introduce herself as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be asked to say a few words about my life. Like you said, I'm Kathy Whitman. My Indian name is Elk Woman, Marogawea, and I come from Lucky Mound. That's where I grew up on the Fort Berthold Reservation. It used to be a community southwest of Parshall, and I went to school at Lucky Mound Day School, country school, up until I was a fifth grader, till it burnt down. And my dad's clan was Metsiroga, a knife clan, flint knife clan, and my mom's clan was Awache. So I'm Awache, and she was adopted. She's Norwegian, and she was adopted by Minnie Spotted Wolf, and way back, and dressed her, took her as her daughter, and Minnie Spotted Wolf was married to Tom Spotted Wolf, and she was a Bracklin, and that's
all right.
about
Good.
it.
Well, that's a good little rundown. Yeah. So usually on this podcast, the ones I've sat in, it's always been about culture and language, and those are the types of things I can talk about all day long, So I'm just going to kind of stick to that. And of course, we're both in recovery, and that's kind of who our audience is kind of geared towards. And so I feel like recovery and culture kind of go hand in hand, especially with living the ceremonial life.
Mm-hmm.
My uncles and my older brothers, they say they don't mix, You can't be doing one or the other at the same time, It's just things won't go good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering if you could share a little bit of about that,
About my own recovery.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Kind of don't know where to start, but I'm just going to start by saying, when I was growing up, I was born in 1952, and so I grew up in the time when there was the Garrison Dam was built, and they flooded Elbow Woods. They flooded all the communities that were our lifeblood, or I don't know what to call it, where all the communities were along the river there, and there was Elbow Woods, Nishu, Independence. I don't even know all of them. Like a Fishhook Village was there. That was our last Earth Lodge village. Anyway, so at the time that I grew up, my dad, we lived down there. So I think I was like 1.5 or 2 when we moved out of there. I know we were one of the last families that moved out of there, and we moved our house that is now at Lucky Mound right now. It used to be the one that was down there at Elbow Woods. Anyway, that was a time when it was really, I can't even think of a word for it, but a really horrendous, traumatic event for our people. I know my dad talked about that a lot, and I know a lot of people his age talked about that a lot, and it was always emotional to talk about because of all the things that they were a tight-knit community, and they had community gardens, they had community roundups, they had everything was, shared, and there was so much community and camaraderie amongst the people. And I remember my dad used to brag and say that there was only one person that was a drunk or alcoholic or whatever, that was always be drunk. Only one person. He would end up in jail, but I mean, there was never any problem. And he'd say that nobody ever locked their doors. And I don't even know if they had a policeman there, right there. But he always bragged about it, just that it was so safe and people were so good to each other, and you could leave your door open, and if somebody came and helped themselves to food, that was just a common thing. So that all taken away from them, the water, the river, that lifeblood, having that, and all the communities along the river being so tight knit. So it was like, I don't know, my perspective is that the government never wanted us to flourish, and anytime there was any kind of that, I mean, first of all, they put us there and caused the smallpox, took our buffalo away, took our life away. That was a huge impact on our people, took our spirit away, really tried to break us, and it almost did, so there was that. And then when the community started to flourish again after being put on reservations and having to have rations and those kind of things, which they never even were consistent with the rations,
Yeah.
I'm trying to just give you a backstory, because when that was all taken away, a lot of our people, including my dad, became alcoholics. They was like their hearts were broken. They were dragging on the ground, and it's just so hurtful. I mean, when I think about it, even though I don't remember it myself, I just remember the way. I mean, I grew up in that kind of family. He he tried to. I mean, he did come out of that. He recovered on his own, but there was a lot of people that were really hurt by that, and didn't know where to go and what to do. It was a hard thing, and a lot of the ceremonies. Plus, the other thing was those were outlawed. Our ceremonies were outlawed, so anything that was done was underground, and you didn't know much about it. So I'm just trying to give the backstory also, that I didn't grow up with ceremonies. The spiritual part. I grew up with the respect thing. That was a huge, huge thing, and grew up going to powwows, which we called celebrations back then, or doings. That's what we called them. And there wasn't contests. You just went, and it was 3-4 days of camping and singing and dancing, and just a real social event. And then there was always gatherings when people came to, when somebody came home from the service, that I remember that a lot, coming together in a hall. I know there was Water Chief Hall. I don't remember the names of the halls, but I remember we'd go to those places, and there'd be a wood stove on one end, and everybody bring food, and the food would be kind of around that wood stove, and there'd just be benches around the walls,
Yeah.
But that was what we did, and I don't know, it was a really close and tight knit thing when I was growing up. But as far as the spiritual part or ceremonies, I didn't know anything about that, but I knew that, like for instance, eagle feathers. I remember my dad being really strict about, don't even look at other people's eagle feathers, let alone touch them. Don't, anything that was sacred like that, or a bundle, you don't. He really stressed that a lot. It was always that thing about respect. So I grew up dancing. We always danced, and then we'd perform too for whatever little events. There was a group of us that would go, and so I didn't have that spiritual background. I just had the upbringing of the gatherings, and dancing. But when I got to be I was married, then divorced, and but in the middle of that, I moved to Rosebud, and I had 2 kids at the time. I was separated, and I went to Rosebud. I lived in Standing Rock. I was married at Standing Rock, and then I went to Rosebud. My sister lived down there, and I just needed to get I don't know. I just couldn't find myself. I'm going to just say this. I was a Catholic, became a Catholic when I got married because I thought, that was where I was going to really, I don't know, find myself or the spiritual thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it wasn't for me. For me, it wasn't. When I moved to Rosebud, there was ceremonies that were going on, but so I lived two extreme lives, at the time, at a double life. Like when on the weekend I'd go, party, drink, smoke weed, do drugs, do acid, whatever was around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we did, and this was in the 70s, early 70s. And it was probably 75 or something like that. And then it would just be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what everybody did, and it was also the time of American Indian movement, coming in and becoming more, making us as Native people more aware and more proud of who we are, because there was a time when it was squashed all the time. And I mean, I remember growing up in Parshall, the racism there, a mixed, and it's like was even worse sometimes because they would just stare at us, and I remember making faces at people as a child, because it would just be these mean looks, so there's that. And then anyway, getting back to when I was in Rosebud, then I started going to ceremonies also, because I'd hear about ceremonies because I worked at the community college there, Sinte Iglesia. It was a community college at the time. And so there was also medicine people that worked there. I remember this one man was a maintenance guy, and he was, I think his name was Earl Swift Hawk. Gee, it's been a while, but he was a medicine man, and he was so nice, like he on his breaks or whatever, he might be sitting there, and he was just so nice. You could just sit down and talk to him and ask him any kind of question. And I'd never been in a sweat before. I really wanted to know more about it. My brother did. I had one brother. I have one brother. And my dad, I remember we had a sweat back there, and my dad and the men folk would come and they would go in there, but none of us girls could go in. We weren't even acknowledged, and my brother got an Indian name. None of us did. Like we were irrelevant, like we weren't valued. That kind of patriarchal mentality, which I feel came in from colonization, and so that was something that I lacked and I really wanted, but I never said it to anybody. And but I really wanted to know more about the spiritual, our culture. I really wanted to know more, not necessarily MHA, but Native culture. I really wanted to know about the spiritual part of it, and I just felt like there's more than when I was going to church. I mean, I just didn't fulfill it for me, and anyway, he was so kind. Earl was so kind and helpful, and he invited me to come to his home and go in the sweat with him and his family, his wife and his grandkids. And I was just elated, and honored. I mean, I felt so grateful to be able to take part in that, So that was my first experience, and it was scary to me. I mean, I wanted it so bad. I just really wanted that connection. I lacked it and really wanted it. And it was really a good feeling, when I went in there, and it was scary. I mean, it was tough as far as, but I remember them saying, just pray about all the things you want to pray about, and it's going to be all right. You'll be okay in there. And of course it was, I felt very, it made a whole lot of sense that when you pray for other things, not just like, and I always say that to people, don't just pray for, I hope I can make it through this, you have to pray for other things or for good things, not just for your own.
Was this during the outlaw days too, of ceremonies?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. They weren't even, no, they weren't even, they weren't legalized yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, but they were still doing that down there, you know, and, I mean, and obviously at home too, but, you know, us women weren't invited or, you know, allowed or whatever. So then that was like my first introduction, I feel like, into it. And then I started going to ceremonies because I hear about Uwipi ceremonies or I think it's Lawampi ceremonies also down there. And so I would go on one weekend, I'd go and I would be so in awe of it, you know, and I'd feel so good. And I'd take my little girls with me and, you know, and just have all those wonderful experiences and hearing them and just the amazing things that I could, you know, I didn't know really existed. I'd hear about them, but it was different for me to go there. And I really wanted to go that way, but I couldn't fathom and couldn't imagine not drinking, not doing drugs, hanging out with my friends, partying. And then, like, I felt like, what kind of life am I going to have? You know, who my friends are, what am I going to do? Who are my friends going to be? You know, who am I going to hang out with? What am I going to do for fun? All of that went, you know, was going through my head, but I really, really longed for that path. I really wished I could go that way, you know, that spiritual path, and wished I could go without all of that. And it just seemed like I had seen different people at the college, not a whole bunch, but I would hear about them that they quit drinking and they became a pipe carrier, you know, a little bit, like not immediately, but, and just all that goes with that, you know, like you can never step away from, I mean, you can never step into the alcohol or the drugs because I remember them talking about like it's like a veil or a wall that hinders you from connecting with the creator and with the spirits, that alcohol and the drugs, you know, it limits you, you know, and it affects your body, and then the negative stuff comes in and can affect you that way too. And anyway, I still just like, I'd be in awe of those people because they could do that. And I'd think, man, what did they, you know, I try to talk to them about it, but I wasn't ready for it, obviously, I couldn't understand it. And then, so I'd go back and forth, I'd vacillate, go to ceremonies one weekend and go party the next weekend. And it'd just kind of be going back and forth. And then by, I don't know, that lasted for about a year, I think. And then, but I still, you know, was trying, I don't know, I couldn't make myself, I couldn't do it. Didn't know how to do it. And so in the springtime, I was saying that was like the time during when AIM was livening up Native people to remember who we are and that we have rights. And, you know, there was, you know, things going on like the taking over the BIA building in Washington, D.C. But the biggest thing was taking over Wounded Knee in 1973. And that, you know, lasted for a while. And at the time I was still married. I mean, I was still in the marriage, and I really wished I could go there, you know, but I had 2 little kids. But anyway, Leonard Crow Dog, he was their spiritual leader there at Wounded Knee and part of AIM. And he was gonna, you know, they put a bunch of the leaders in prison for a time after the, you know, government finally made them stop, you know, to clear it so it wasn't occupied anymore. And he was about to get out. Leonard was about to get out of prison that summer, and that was 1977. And so, like early spring or so, his wife, it was Mary Crow Dog at the time, and she was good friends with my sister. And I was teaching at Sinte Gleshka College as I taught painting and drawing. And so she wanted me to do a portrait of Leonard. She wanted to give it to him when he got out. So, so I did it, you know, I didn't ask for anything, or, you know, I just did it. And I was, you know, my thought was, well, I hope she pays me something. I mean, I wasn't making a whole bunch of money anyway, but I never said anything. And I always trust also that something good will happen anyway, some way, somehow it might not be monetary, but
Yeah.
however it is. And so I did that painting and gave it to her, and she gave it to him. I mean, I never was around then. I just gave it to her and didn't really know, what was happening. And then I ran into them at I don't know if I was at a powwow, some kind of gathering down there at Rosebud, and he came up to me and told me that he really just loved that painting, that I made him look slimmer and younger, he said.
So were you
Like
painting? Were you painting for some years at this time, or?
Yeah, I did
Oh, okay.
just on my own self-taught,
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
just like to paint. So
Yeah.
that was the first thing that was my main
Oh, okay.
first love, I guess, is painting.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so I did that, and then he told me he wanted to honor me, and to come to the Sundance. And I said, yeah. I mean, felt good about it, but at the same time, I didn't really believe it. I didn't, because people say stuff as a reaction, and
Yeah.
maybe they might not follow through. Maybe they won't really do it, but they want to show their appreciation. So I didn't really take it to heart. I kind of didn't really believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, as time went on, that summer, I saw them again somewhere, probably at another powwow or something, and he came up to me again, and he reminded me that to come to the Sundance, and that it was at such and such a date, and it was down at his place. And so, to be sure and be there. So then I knew it was gonna be for real, or I didn't even know what, but
Yeah.
but our way to up here at home is like, whenever you're honored, whenever there's an honoring of you, whether it's whatever it is, whenever you're honored, we have a giveaway, or the family gives away because
Yeah.
their child or whoever, that's always our ways to give away. And so I thought, well, I better tell my folks, because they'll want to be there,
Mm-hmm.
and bring some goods down, because I didn't have any goods. And so I told them, and we didn't have anything like that
Yeah.
at home either. And so they came down, and I went there in August, and then they came down, and I remember it was significant to me. I remember driving in there. When you go to the Sundance in those days anyway, they always had security, and when you're driving in, they check your car. But they didn't even check my car for some reason, and I still had part of a 6-pack of beer in there. And that just so bold, to do that, but not knowing either,
Yeah.
just being ignorant of really the depth of what I was going to,
Mhm.
really didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Just knew it was a ceremony, but not
Yeah.
really didn't know. And they didn't even check my car, so I went in like that. I mean, I didn't drink it when I was there, obviously, but I had that much respect anyway, and
And this was your first time going to Sundance?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I mean, this was in '77, and
Yeah.
like it was still outlawed,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And yeah, and had no idea really what to expect, other than that movie. I don't even want to say it, but was that Man Called Horse? And paintings, like Bodmer's paintings,
Oh, yeah.
but really not, not having
Mhm.
any kind of exposure, not even really knowing if people did that anymore, you
Yeah.
know. And I mean, the piercing,
Oh, yeah.
I know they don't pierce like they pierced a long time ago through the muscle, but
Yeah.
I still didn't know that they did that.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so I went there, and I kept thinking, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? When am I going to be honored? That sounds so stupid, but it's the truth. And and then it in retrospect, I definitely get it. I
Yeah.
understand it had to be the way it was, because every day I'd be there, and my folks would be there, and I didn't always sit with them. Sometimes I'd be someplace else in there, but we were just there as observers, I guess you might say. And but during that whole time for me, it like just really affected me, and it must have been timing too for me, you know, because it really affected me in the way that when people were when I saw them piercing, when I saw them out there dancing and sacrificing, I really took it personal, you know. I really felt guilty, I guess, because I thought they're out there suffering for me,
Yeah.
you know, and these prayers are for me, and even though they don't know me, I just, you know, I felt it,
Yeah.
and felt really like I just felt really guilty,
Yeah.
and just thought I haven't done anything in my life for that. I mean, no, as far as I haven't ever made effort to give back. I've always been saying, "Oh, poor me, I'm really struggling. Oh, why do I have it so hard?" And you know, pray about poor me all the
Yeah.
time, and all that suffering, poor me. You know, it was always like, it was never about what can I do to make it better, or you know, ask for guidance, or you know, it was just
Yeah.
always a pitiful prayer all the time. And so but it really affected me that way. And so on the fourth day, I mean, it was every day I saw this and felt this. Oh, I think on the third day there's a excuse me, they have a round of where they let people come out, because there's so many people there, that if they want to give flesh, to come out to the arena, you know, to the circle, and everybody gets in line, you know, and they just start taking flesh from each person, and you know, you tell them what you want, and they, how many or whatever, and then they just do it, and then you you go. It's funny, but and there's so many that it has to be that way, you know, and there were so many people, and just felt compelled to go out there, like I just wanted to hurry up and give something of myself.
Yeah.
And it's like I had to even it out, you know, because I felt was off balance there. And my dad went out there too at the same time, and we never knew each other was out there, because there were so many people, until we came back, you know, together, and then we saw that we both were moved by that, you
Yeah.
know. And then and then I think on the last day too, I think there was a part where when you wanted to, they said if anybody wanted to make a commitment to come back, you know, come back for the next 4 years. However, they, you know, they usually, I mean, you can go as long as you want, but at least 4 years, you know.
Yeah.
And both my dad and I did that again without knowing that we were both moved like that way, you know. And so I was feeling really good. So I wasn't, but as the days went on, I was less and less concerned about when are you going to come in? When am I going to get, well, whatever I'm going to get here, you know?
Yeah.
And so then after everything was over, after the Sundance ended that day, and everybody, you know, the ceremony was over, and then they were getting ready to, you know, for food and stuff, and everybody was going back to change and all that kind of stuff. And while that was happening, he came and got me. Leonard Crow Dog came and got me and took me out to the center, and told people, just it was like the most humbling and best feeling ever. It like, he took me out. They had a scaffold. It looked like a ladder lined with sage, you know, and they'd sometimes lift men up that wanted to hang from the tree. They'd put them on there and lift them up to hang them, and I just felt he stood me on there, and I just didn't even feel worthy, you know. I did not feel worthy, and I just couldn't believe he was going to let me stand on there. And then he had a medicine man from Pine Ridge, and I don't remember his name, did a pipe ceremony. And but before this, he told people that I did this painting, and you know, and he bragged about it again. He mentioned that I made him look slimmer and younger, and he had given it away already. Somebody liked it, and I don't know,
Yeah.
and he gave it to them. But he was saying that, and I just thought, all I did was a painting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, it makes me want to cry, but I never thought that that was enough to. Anyways, he gave me that medicine man did his pipe ceremony, and he named me Elk Woman, Hekakawi in Lakota,
Mm.
and then Leonard put a center feather, eagle feather, in my hair, and those two things were like the most important things to me. And for years,
Yeah.
I wanted that, but I just felt like some way I had to earn it, you know, like
Yeah.
the old stories, you know,
Yeah.
like you had to do something brave to get an eagle feather,
Yeah.
something so significant to get an eagle feather, you know.
Yeah.
And my name too, like, I don't know, somehow it had to come to me, you know, or somebody had to tell me or whatever. But to me, I had to have done something really significant to achieve a name and an eagle feather. That was my feeling about it, you know.
Yeah.
And prior to that, Leonard had asked my folks. They told me this later, that he asked my folks what my Indian name was, and then they said I didn't have one. So then he, you know, had me named and put that feather on my head in front of all these people, that I felt like I was this insignificant being standing there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me feel so good. I can't say great because it wasn't great. It was just so good and so happy, like nobody could say or do anything to me to make me upset about anything. I mean, they
Yeah.
could have pushed me over, stepped on me or whatever, but I was so high. The highest I've ever been, you know?
Yeah.
Just so high. I was just floating, like it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Just amazing. And it was like that was the I don't know, I want to say straw that broke the camel's back as far as drugs and alcohol, you know. It was
Yeah.
like that's all I needed, it seemed like. I mean, because from that point on, I just was committed, you know. I just was committed to be on that path, and it was no longer even a question, you know, about what am I going to do. It didn't even that didn't even matter
Yeah.
about my social life or my friends, whatever it was going to be, you know. It didn't even matter. It was my dream come true kind of thing, and it just changed my life. And I remember driving out of there and going to I was supposed to meet my boyfriend at the time, you know, and I remember we were supposed to meet in the parking lot, and I remember driving over there and taking that beer out of my car and dumping it in the trash can, and he came and I dumped him too. It was like, I mean, and it was significant because that part of my life was over,
Yeah.
you know, and that relationship was all about partying too, and, you know, drugs and alcohol and whatever, you
Yeah.
know, kind of thing. And it was just severed with no looking back. I felt like, you know, there was just no, well, it wasn't even a question. I didn't feel bad. I just was so happy to be where I was that I knew that was all not good for me. And then I couldn't wait to because I was feeling so like I had to give something back to the creator, to the spirits, because I'd been taken care of all that time, me and my daughters, you know, being watched over, having a home, having a job, having food, all of those things. I was still belly aching, you know,
Yeah.
so that just changed, and I just wanted to give back to. And they say the most you can give of yourself for your prayers to the creator and to the sacred ones that help you is yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so your flesh, you're going without food and without water, you suffer because it makes your prayers stronger. And they really, what I understand about it is they really like that. They know that you're sincere when you're going to give up something, you know, when
Yeah.
you're going to go without food, or if you give flesh, you know, it's not an easy thing, you know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it can't lie, it stings, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all of that, you know, and piercing. And so anyway, that's the way I understand it. And so I just couldn't wait to give back. So as soon as I got back, went back to Lucky Mound then from there. And couldn't wait to go fast. And I didn't, you know, even in those days, there wasn't like, now there's so much protocol, seems like, about it, but it's a simple thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just simple.
Yeah.
You just go out there and fast, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what to do either, you know, and I just went out there. And then my brother, JC, helped me. He helped me, he showed me a eagle trapping where he had gone before, that's close to our place on this hill.
Yeah.
And he had a buffalo robe that he let me use. And so we put that in that eagle trapping, that indentation. And then I put my eagle feather on a stick. It was you know, I stuck that stick in the ground, piece of willow, and tied it on there. And I sat in there and I just sprinkled tobacco around the edges.
Yeah.
You know, at the time I didn't even I don't know, I had sage with me, and, you know, put that around, but nobody said, I wasn't taught or told or anything.
Yeah.
But I just had it with me. But, you know, now in later years, I, you know, would put sage all the way around
Yeah.
myself, that a circle of it, so that I was protected, you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that. But I know that they know, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
your sincerity.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I went there and I did that for 2 days and 2 nights, and it was real simple and real humbling for me. I mean, I felt so good to be able to finally I'm going to give back. I'm going to be worthy a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
I felt like, and it was really important. I mean, what it showed to me then, and I mean, that was the very first thing. What I felt and saw was just that the only thing that's important is this Mother Earth and us, and, you know, everything around, but not about these 4 walls, not about paying your bills or jobs, or, you know, stressing out about these superficial things,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But it's like this Mother Earth is always going to be here. These spirits are always going to be here, even from however long ago, they're still here. You know,
Yeah.
like that never changes.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though we have modern times and we have phones and all that kind of stuff, that part never changes. They're still like right here, wherever, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we still have to breathe air from these trees, from the grass, you know, the oxygen. It that whole what do you call it? That whole interdependency, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with the atmosphere, with the Mother Earth, with everything. We have that, and that will never change, and that's significant. It's important. That's the most important thing. That and love,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that unconditional love. But that's part of it, I feel like, you know, to have that feeling towards nature and all that, is that you have to have that unconditional love and appreciation and respect.
Yeah.
That if it wasn't for these things and the ancestors, you wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's just that thing of acknowledgement and you know, showing, being grateful and appreciate. But anyways, getting back to that, when I was fasting, is that was the thing that really came to me to the forefront, and kind of showed me what's more about what's important in life, you know, and
Yeah.
and to remember the things that are basic.
Mm-hmm.
And then my brother came there one day, and anyway, he told me that there was a Sundance at Greengrass at Cheyenne River, you know, and that's where that white buffalo calf pipe, that sacred white buffalo calf pipe, is kept.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a Sundance going on right then, and so I was like, you know, they tell you to get ready, prepare yourself for a year, be sober for a year, be clean for a year
Mm-hmm.
before you go on that path. And how I feel about things when my feeling about it is when you feel like you want to do that and want to make that commitment. For me, I have to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm afraid it's gonna fade away,
Yeah.
and I won't have that drive, So I just like, I want to go, and so I packed up my tent and my two little girls, and we went down to Greengrass, and I didn't know anybody or anything, but I was just following how I feel, how my spirit, my heart, and went there and went to find out if I could participate. I think it was even the second day, and one of the people running it said, "Yeah, I could come in," and I was just like, I was so happy.
Yeah.
So we put up our little tent, and my little girls, they were just young, and they'd have to go get in the soup line, when I would be, so I'd be watching them while I was dancing, and then there you can go back and stay at your camp after. So that's how that went, and I was so happy, but I never it just fit for me, like it helped me find myself and deal with how life is better,
Yeah.
because we're always going to go through ups and downs. I mean, that's how life is. No matter if you're on a good path or not, things are going to come.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I like to think of them as kind of like tests, and kind of like there's no mistakes. Whatever you go through, it's a learning. You got something to learn from everything,
Yeah.
good and bad. And so I try to think about things like that, like, okay, what is this about? If something,
Yeah.
but like if something bad happens, I'm like, oh, upset. But then I always think about I always think there's a silver lining. There's a reason for that happening. Like what am I supposed to be learning? What am I supposed to be looking at? And I pray a lot. I mean, I just talk,
Yeah.
I just talk and put out tobacco, but I just talk to them all the time, and trust, plus your own spirit. It's a collaboration kind of thing,
Yeah.
But I guess I just sharing this story because I feel like I have 5 kids, after that I went back to my ex-husband, and because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do, and had 2 more kids. And I thought I really thought I was gonna stay there, I really thought I was gonna commit, but it was good for probably enough to have 2 more kids, a couple more years, and 2.5, something like that, years. And then, but it never changed. It's still, we were too different. I grew up a different way, and my beliefs were different than his beliefs, and I just was unhappy. And I just felt like, person's got to be happy, and got to be you got to share
Yeah.
things that are like spirituality,
Yeah.
and your culture. And if it's not happening, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't. And I mean, for me, I couldn't. I just thought life's got to be happier than this. And I felt like I wanted my kids to see something better than to be arguing and unhappy, in a, like, life is better than this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was difficult on them for sure in the beginning. But I did leave, and then 4 years later, I think it was about after I left, 3 years later, or something like that. Anyways, after I left, then I had another relationship, and had a daughter with Dean P. Fox. And then I was at home, at Newtown for a while, and then I don't know, a few more years, and then I had a little store there called Nchbaga Lodge. Used to be just a little arts and crafts store, and then I used to also serve meals there.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I think that I really like to stress too, is that we only limit ourselves. I mean, whatever we think we can't do, it's because we think that way. We limit ourselves. We put these walls up and say we can only do so much, but really, you can do whatever you want. The sky's the limit, or there's no limit. Whatever you put your mind to, you can do. And I say that because when I did leave, I mean, I just couldn't make a good living there, for my kids. And I thought, I'm just one step forward and two steps back kind of a thing. It wasn't making enough money to really provide for them a good future. And so I did a show in Colorado, an art show. Went to an art show there where you have a booth and you set up and all that. And this was like, oh gosh, like in the 80s, like probably 84, 85, something like that.
Yeah.
And I could see all these native artists there were really successful. They dressed with expensive clothes. They had really nice cars, and they're selling their work. And even me, I mean, compared to my little store, people were just buying stuff. And I was just like, oh my God. It was so significant to me because it showed me that I could make a living. I could really actually make a living off my art, but I had to go where it counted, where I could sell it.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like the turning point for me.
Yeah.
And then I decided to move to the Southwest where it was going to make a difference. But my whole point was that I took my 5 kids and, did some artwork. And my plan was to just move down there and sell my work and get a house, rent a house for us. And that's how I was going to make my living. I was going to just keep selling it. And at the time I started doing stone sculptures, and then it happened that way. It wasn't ever easy, but there was really good times and then some kind of rough ones, but it's like that as being self-employed or an artist.
So do you have any works out there right now that people could see in the public?
Yeah. I mean, I have at home at Fort Berthold, the Interpretive Center, there's 3 sculptures of our chiefs there.
Oh, okay.
At the Interpretive Center. They're metal and they're like 9 feet tall.
Oh, that right in the front?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
And they have stone, they have marble, Portuguese marble faces that I carved, and then the rest is metal.
Oh, okay.
And then I have some murals in the tribal office and up there at MHA. I also, south of here, going around Huff, there's 3 horses that Ken Dragswiff used to live there. He passed away now, but he had me make these. He commissioned me to do these metal horses, life-size horses. So I did those, and then also at Standing Rock at Prairie Nights, I did a big mural there, like when was that? In the 90s. They commissioned me to do a big mural in their lobby, and then on their fireplace, there's 2 big paintings on both sides. So that's that I have around here anyway that people could see.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
just
good.
talked your head off. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's good. I like listening to stories like that. So after your after you threw your beer away and how that changed your life around, that real feel good feeling you were talking about, when that starts kind of fading, starts kind of leveling out in life, how did you maintain your sobriety, and how did you stay onto that road,
I guess I was just so committed that I felt like I was given such a gift that what made me stay committed was I felt like there was times I felt like somebody that was drinking or partying was more successful than me. Sometimes, like when I moved to the Southwest, and I think like, how come, and I'm trying to live right and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that I would wonder about it. But the main thing that I feel was like, if I ever veered from it, it would be like spitting in the spirit's faces, is what I felt like, It'd just be so disrespectful to them, to the Creator, for all the help that they've given me along the way, and even to myself for the sacrifices that I've made, because then after we danced at Crow Dogs until 1980, our last time we danced, my dad and I was from 78 to 82 there, and it moved my dad to so much that, because he was always concerned about our well-being of our people, and he was on the council, he was a chairman on different terms, and he was on the council, and he worked for the tribe different times, in different positions, but he always wanted something good, something better, and he said that's what we're missing. That's what he felt, is like, that's what we're missing. We're missing this ceremony, we're missing this sacrifice.
Yeah.
So he wanted to rebirth the Okipa ceremony, and felt like that's what was missing.
And the Okipa is what
the Mandan ceremony
Yeah.
of they say, and you will hear that from other Lakota, and Leonard Crodog had said that too, that the Sundances originated from the Okipa ceremony.
Oh, okay.
And the Okipa ceremony it's a story, it's a I'm not going to go into it, but it's a story,
Yeah.
and the 4 days, it's still 4 days of fasting and going without food and water, fasting. And they're similar. They're not the same, but they're similar.
Yeah.
The Sundance and the Okipa ceremony. But so that started in 1983, and that first year, Leonard brought up singers. Him and some singers came up that first year that we had the ceremony, and it's been and that's probably another reason that has helped me tremendously, because even though when I moved away, me and my kids would all come back every summer still and participate and always be around it, so my kids grew up with that, which, and my son, my oldest son, talks to me about that kind of thing, is that at my age, when I was getting on this path, it was like my age group of people were, because of AIM reawakening that too in us, and I think it was timing for all Native people at that time, is we were wanting our culture back, we were wanting our spirituality back, and we were grasping, just grasping at things, and trying to bring it back, and we did it partly, we started to bring it back, and like that, like the ceremonies, and like my son says, though, he doesn't know any different. Like, he's never had to be without it. He doesn't know what it's like to not have that as part of his life, Yeah. And I think it's kind of, obviously it's like night and day to me, because I was on the other side trying to find it, trying to bring it back into my life, and that whole way, in sweats, and praying, and being conscious, spiritually conscious, and because I feel like that's what's kept me on this path, and every time I want to, when I was able to participate, when I wasn't a moon time during those early years, was I always felt like it was giving back again, for that whole year that I was taken care of, provided for, even through struggles and hard times. We still always had food, that kind of stuff, still had a home to live in, and even though sometimes I didn't know how I was going to make it, but we did. And I always felt like it was my time to give back, and I felt relieved again, like renewed and relieved to have, to give back, to pray, to sacrifice, go without food and water. But the thing is, you can do that anywhere. And I think, and that's what I think people should remember too. You don't have to wait a whole year to because I did that. I would do it from time to time when I'd be struggling, I'd be having a hard time and not knowing what I was going to do, and so I'd fast for a day, or sometimes I'd give flesh, and go take it out and tie it on a tree and pray. But that's what I did, because I needed it. I needed that help. I needed that strength, guidance, and that's what's kept me.
So have you ever did any of the programs that are out there? No. a lot of the stuff you're talking about is similar to what people go through and the things that they have to do. That's why I like. That's what I like about the culture, and then with the programs that they offer around here. Is that
Yeah.
there's a lot of similarities. They interconnect, and then there's a lot of other ceremonies out there too that help me along. The one I rely on heavily is, of course, the Nukhpike, the Hadata Way and Hadata Sundance, and then the NAC. NAC helps me out a lot,
Oh, yeah.
and you were fortunate because we've had conversations before, about your grandson Eric and stuff, and we talk. You get to talk about the elders. You get to sit in there with the elders, and that's kind of one thing that us people, us folks that are going into that way, we kind of lack that right now. We lack that elder presence. Unless we have visitors come over, then we're lucky enough to sit up with them. But maybe if you had something good that you can remember some of the elders saying back in ceremony times, or sitting in ceremony, sitting up with them, that you could share, then maybe to share a little bit of something for the people out there that are kind of searching for how do I get there? How do I get a name? Or just having questions, just share a little bit of something like that. And then I think we could probably wrap it up in about after you're done here.
Oh, that's one of the things I didn't mention about NAC was that, I never went through counseling or any of that kind of stuff to be, to straighten out, to be on a spiritual path, but I just relied on prayers and sacrificing and spirits, just my faith, I guess. But about in the 90s, I think it was, late 80s, early 90s, right around in there, I was living in in Arizona and Phoenix, and I can't even remember how that started. Well, very first time I ever went to a peyote meeting was at Crow Dogs.
Oh yeah.
And it was in 79, and it was outside because there were so many people, and I was pregnant, so I wasn't participating. And Crow Dog and his wife Mary and sister-in-law Barb, they had me come with them, and I was really leery about it because I was pregnant, and I was like, oh, that whole taboo, that whole kind of mindset that was put out there.
Yeah.
And I remember Crow Dog saying to me, it's good, your baby's going to be really, really, it's going to get all the vitamins on everything it needs, and it's going to be, when it comes into this world, it's going to already know things. It's already going to know all those things, and it's going to remember. I mean, it's going to continue in its life. I always say that to my son. My oldest son's Chinupa, and he's an artist, but I like to tease him like that. Well, it's because I took you in a meeting. You're like that because you took you in there. You're smart because I took you in there.
Yeah.
But I remember that was the very first time, and then I never, I grew up with it being a taboo, even though I knew there was people at home that participated. My dad was more like, I knew they had meetings, but my dad was on the other side of the fence. He'd say, that's not our way, that's not our way. So I was reluctant, but I went because Crow Dog and Mary and Barb wanted me to go.
Yeah.
So, and of course, I still wanted to experience the things that were important, spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't go for a long time. I just went that one time, and then, and so I think that was probably before, it was before, actually, it was 79. It was 78 because he was born in 79. Anyway, when I was down in Arizona, then I'm trying to think how I was going to a counselor. I started going to a counselor because I thought, well, there is stuff that's like what do you call it? AOC, isn't that what it is? Adult Children of Alcoholics.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever that's called.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Dean, he would have conferences or whatever, and he'd come stop in to see me and his daughter, and we'd still talk, communicate. We were still talked, and even though we weren't together for years, but he was I don't know, he was in, I can't even think of the word, like he was a counselor in treatment programs, and
Yeah.
they'd have conferences or whatever. And so he was going to be down there, and he just like really encouraged me to go, to this counseling because they had a native counseling thing there. And I didn't really want to. I was being reluctant and thinking, I raised my kids. I'm just fine. I don't need whatever. So I was not wanting to, but then I looked at this pamphlet that said all the things that I was, all the symptoms or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So then I made an appointment, or he might have even made me. I think he even made the appointment for me, and I really didn't want to go. I mean, I'd want to go, and then when the time came, I'd find a reason not to go. Finally, that counselor called me and said, I probably broke about 3 of them, and said, just come in. That's all. I know it's always hard, and stuff. So finally I went, and and it was really helpful. I mean, I cried a lot of tears, and let a lot out. But this counselor happened to be a roadman. So he would refer to some things, in a meeting, refer to things sometimes about my counseling or about growing or whatever, the things. He would just go back to it a lot, and it just got me more intrigued, But I thought, well, I'm not really ready to go till I'm done with my counseling. So I started to go. I mean, when I was done, the thing was that it was as far as I could get with him. Yeah. And he even said, and so I wanted to go to a peyote meeting by the end. And I said, well, I wanted to go, but what do you do? What is this? What is that?
Yeah.
And he said, just go in there. And he said, because what I tell you and what you get is different. He said, your relationship with the medicine is different than what it is for me. And I can tell you this and that. But he said, just go in there and pray and listen to it, and he said, you already have, because he knew that I participated in Okipa ceremony in the Sundance. He knew that I knew that I had that much understanding. And he said, you're going to be fine. Just go in there and don't try to go with somebody or follow whatever they say, or, just do it with yourself and make that personal relationship yourself. And so I did. I went because I wanted to so bad. So I just went to this meeting that was happening. I didn't even know the people and stuff, but that's kind of how it started. And it was really kind and loving, really kind and loving. And so I went for quite a while. I mean, I started going to meetings then, and it took me further in my counseling. It broke through traumatic things that I couldn't get to in the counseling. It, just like released a lot of stuff, and also healed me at the same time. And even though all this traumatic stuff was coming out, and and projectile vomiting in the meeting, and just real horrendous things, but at the same time it was so loving and comforting and soothing. That's my biggest feeling about the medicine.
Yeah.
And for me, that's how it's been. And as far as there was all different, mostly it was people, down there, the Ona'atam people and the Dene, and mostly people right around Phoenix,
Yeah.
And then, then there was people that were from other places that also lived there that would come to meetings. And then I had meetings there. I'd sponsor meetings too at my place, and did that a lot. And then I would have meetings back at home, because it was kind of funny. After Okipa ceremony, I would want to have meetings up here, at home. and even though my dad was on the other side of the fence, he would go along with me. I mean, he'd say, oh, yeah, okay, you can do that. Because I suppose because he thought I was on the right path or whatever. I don't know. We never discussed it, why he was okay with it. But he'd say, okay, you know, was at his place. So I'd ask if it was okay to have a peyote meeting there, and he'd say, yeah. So anyway, come to find out, he would like to come in like early in the evening. Sometimes he'd come in, and you know, whoever was running it would say, well, it's your home place. You can come in and stay as long as you want and go, or you know. And he didn't want to eat the medicine.
Oh, okay.
And but there was times in there that William Bell, he's my clan uncle. He's a Metsidoga.
Yeah.
He was older than my dad, and he would tease him in there, and he would talk, and they'd go talk back and forth in Mandan, and sometimes he would say it out loud. I mean, translate it sometimes, you know, but they'd really laugh because I could tell he was making fun of my dad, because my dad would get all, uncomfortable. The way, you know. It would be funny. But anyway, I in one of those times, William Bell mentioned Rolla Jones, and Rolla Jones was an old man when I was a kid, you know, and he's our relative. And he mentioned him about in a meeting. And I looked at my dad, and I was like, you know, he kept saying that's not our way. And yet one of our older relatives was in there, and I thought, oh. And then also William Bell used to tease him about, and he said, you know, that Daddy, they would want to pray for him when he would, because he was on the council and stuff, like he'd have to go to Washington or go someplace to speak on behalf of our people. And so they'd invite him to come to the meeting so they could pray for him. And he had gone a few times, but he'd always really, really get sick in there. And my perspective was that he didn't want to experience that. So that's why he'd say that's, you know, he didn't want to go, is what I thought.
Yeah.
So that was was easier for him to say that's not our way. And but William Bell brought it out. It was funny. I mean, it was good to be sitting there too, and it'd like be in the morning, you know, or my dad would come in the morning sometimes, because he really, you know, he used to sing at the drum at doings, at celebrations, and plus he was a musician, so he'd really like to come in there and then hear when they're harmonizing and stuff. He just liked it so much. But I feel like there was something in him too that, you know, really longed for that.
Yeah.
He wouldn't eat any medicine though. He would just come in and sit and listen in the morning or at night. And I felt like it affected him. And then one time I had this aged tea that I left there for my mom, because I thought, you know, because she was kind of struggling.
Yeah.
And my dad was still alive then. And I left some medicine tea for her, and it was in the closet in the kitchen, and that door is probably hardly ever opened. Anyways, I went in to get it. I told them, you know, in the morning, I got some tea in there. Should we get it? And I brought it. When I went to go get it, it sealed itself.
Oh, yeah.
So it fermented. It was funny. Oh, my goodness. So this is the morning after, right? And we're sitting around. I mean, after the meeting was just over, we're sitting there, and I went and got that tea and brought it out. And I opened it up, and it reeked. Yeah. It was really potent smell. And then I drank it, you know, and it was so weird because it was sweet. It was burned my mouth at the same time, but it was sweet. And I was like, it smelled really bad, but it was sweet. And I said, it's sweet. And they were like, really? And yeah. So they went to go pass it around. I took it to my dad. And I was like, here, just have a little bit. It's sweet. Really, it's sweet. And he really didn't want to, but then he took a drink. And he's like, you lied to me. Oh, it was funny. It was funny. Then I passed it on, and they agreed that it was sweet, but I don't know if it was because we were eating medicine all night,
Probably.
but it wasn't to my dad. Oh, that was funny. But um, William used to just, talk about those kind of things, just mainly kind of tease my dad in there. But I was always, like when I had meetings down there, I had Brian Brady one meeting for me down there, and Perry Brady ran meeting for me down there. Malcolm Wolf ran meeting for me, not down there, but at Shell Creek.
Yeah.
But I would do that about every summer
Mm-hmm.
for a while there.
Mm-hmm.
After, a few days after. One time it was really not good though. We went in the meeting the day before Okipa was going to start, and the Okipa, the first day is opening the lodge, and then we're doing a lot of work preparing the lodge and getting all the stuff, that's the first day, and then we go in that night to fast. Well, the day before that, I had a meeting that was the biggest mistake I ever made. No, not ever made, but it was a big mistake because we were so, that next morning, we have to be up there at sunrise, and it was hard.
Yeah.
That whole day was really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
No, just trying to do something else. As far as, like old people saying anything about being on a spiritual path, I didn't have that. I didn't really have that. They didn't really, even in the meetings, they didn't really talk about anything more than probably what I've already said,
Yeah.
about being on that path and about taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's super important, and meeting the Creator halfway.
Yeah.
Making that effort. They talk about that in peyote meetings, on that lifeline.
Yeah.
And but it is so important to. There's that story about that guy that it's flooding, and he's on the top of his house, and he asks God to save him, and keeps praying, and then a boat comes, and they say, "Hey, brother, come on, get in this boat because the water's rising more." No, God's going to save me, and he does that, and then there's more people coming to try to help him, and different forms, other boats, and he doesn't. He said, "No, God's going to help me," and then when he gets to, so then he drowns. So then he's like talking to God, like, "How come you didn't help me?" And he said, "I've sent you the boat. I sent you this. I sent you that. I sent you all those people." So it's that thing about, you have to make that effort too. You can't just expect everything to be laid out in front of you and it's going to be good. You have to make an effort. You have to put your foot in front of the other and go forward. You have to go to counseling. That kind of thing, you know, you gotta make some kind of effort, fast, or, give flesh or whatever. You got to do something to make an effort. If you want to learn something, you got to make an effort to learn it, Yeah. You can't just sit back and expect Creator to do for you. We're here for a reason, and we all have gifts and talents, unique gifts and talents, and something to offer in this world, and with that lifeline, or that vein running through all of us, where we're interdependent, and that we have to show respect for ourselves and love for ourselves, and in that way we can be the same way to other people, but really it's important to take care of ourselves. one of the things that I found, I went through cancer in 2005 and I had chemo and radiation. And I was really mad at God. I was really mad at the spirits. I was mad at this ceremonies. Really mad. I mean, I was like, what? I've been trying to live my life in a good way. I've been sacrificing, help people, just whatever. Got all these things that I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then here I am, going through the ceremony and then I'm sick, got cancer. What, how come you didn't heal me?
Mm.
That just really, really angry. Like, what good is it to pray?
Yeah.
That's how I felt, like, what good? You're going to do whatever you want anyway.
Mm.
So what's the point is how I felt. But that's when it became more clear to me about I need to take care of myself too, because I just thought I was Superwoman. I mean, like that if you live life in this way, you're just going to automatically be taken care of. You're not going to get cancer or anything because you're trying to be a good person and do for other people. But what it showed me was that I wasn't valuing myself as much as I was valuing this person to help this person or my kids even, that if you don't take care of yourself first and foremost, you're not going to be around long enough to take care of your kids. Mm. And you're not going to be a good example to them or other people. And yet society and religion, the world teaches us that they say don't be selfish. Mm-hmm. If you take care of yourself, you're being selfish.
Yeah.
Teaches us to be you give everything. I mean, even I've heard this too. I've heard this from medicine people from time to time. It's like you give first, you put yourself last. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely not the way it should be. And how many Native people that live that way have died.
Yeah.
Right away. Mm. I mean, get sick because they're not taking care of themselves. They're giving too much. They're depleting themselves. Mm. And you have to, that's one really important thing. I want people to really pay attention to that. We have to value ourselves because we're the Creator made us, made us in a good way, in a special way, that we have to value ourselves that same way, and really take care of our whole being, mind, heart, body, and spirit, Mm-hmm. And that's something that that we forget about or we think is wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, I mean, I had to go through cancer to learn that.
Yeah.
And not to be, I mean, you can still help people and everything, but you got to really pay attention to yourself too, yeah. your well-being. And the other thing is, don't be concerned what people think of you, because there's always going to be that, no matter what, mm-hmm. no matter what you do, people are always going to have something to say, and that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
When you're thinking of the greater good,
Yeah. Yeah, those are exactly the next questions I was going to ask. Just give something encouraging to say, some life lessons that you come out of it. But yeah, that's good. I would say thank you for that. And just want to give you this opportunity today to, update people what you're up to nowadays and what you got going on.
I got some commissions to get done for home too, for the health center, and a mural and some posters there. And for North Segment, I have 2 murals and a stone sculpture for them too. And I'm also doing some illustrations for a book that, a Sarnish book that Susie Paulson and Jennifer, her daughter, Young Bear, have had translated, and they want some illustrations for it. Mm. And so I have all that going on, and I just got a good blessing. I got my just purchased a home outside of town here in the country. Good. It's such a good blessing. It's such a good blessing. I mean, I'm so grateful because I have a really good big workspace, a garage. It's a house.
Yeah.
So I have all this space to create. Oh, I'm so excited because I've always had to do it outside or fold over the canvases and do it here and there.
Yeah.
I'm really happy I have, after all these years, I have my perfect studio.
That's good. Awesome. Awesome news.
I know, because it's like this art's been my life, for God, over 40 years. And but I've always made do wherever I was. I always created and did whatever I had to do to create wherever I was,
Mm-hmm.
But it's just funny that I'm 73. God, I forgot I'm 73. I always say 72, but even then, it's just a number. But I think even at this age, I'm still, I try to take care of myself because I want to stay strong and healthy as long as I'm here upon this earth.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, gee, that's a long time. Just now getting. Hope I got 50 more years.
Yeah, that'd be good.
of being able to work
Yeah.
anyway, be able to do stuff. But I think that's again, that's a mindset. And
Yeah.
again, it's important to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Really important. There doesn't need to be these diseases, if there's so much diabetes among our people, Native people in general, but there's ways of getting past it, ways of healing it, alternative ways,
Yeah.
that I just believe in holistic medicine and natural ways so much, it it's so much healthier for you, and there's so much more out there than people realize. And Western medicine a lot of times wants to steer you away from natural ways,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people to look at those things and adhere to them. I mean, changing diet or walking,
Yeah.
it's you feel good too,
Yeah.
I think it's just important.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I feel that way too. I feel like a holistic way, or it seems not like the mainstream thing to do, but that's the way our people live for so many years,
Exactly.
And that's one of my main goals is to get back to that way of living. Growing your own food and
Yep.
harvesting your own food, and be able to self-sustain.
Yes.
And I'm trying to get there. But it's good to listen to people like yourself and other people that have the similar kind of mindsets.
Yeah.
In order for our people to heal and be healthy, that's the way we got to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And with our cultural department, the rest of my coworkers and stuff, we're starting to do that around here, especially up here is kind of our homeland as well, Bismarck area.
For sure.
And we got that Earth Lodge going up, and
Yeah.
and you were able to help us out and bless it for us too, and say prayers too, So thank you for that, and thank you for coming on to the podcast. And I'm sure we'd like to see you over here again.
Thank you.
Continue on our conversation about this other types of stuff you have on your mind, And with
Thank you.
that, I think we're good.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's a good.
Oh, it's a good.
With me, 'cause in this life we live free.